It's good to talk my arse. Rest my arse, crab's arse, my arse. Career my arse. Bridesmaid my arse. Pastor my arse. Borrow my arse. Bless my arse. Talk to my arse. I shave my arse.
Hello and welcome to episode 50, yes, the big 50 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark, and I actually can't believe it. We've done it, we've got to number 50. And everyone knows this is a side project to my main podcast, Skip to the End, and it's one-on-one interviews that was only meant to be now and then, and it's become kind of a regular bi-weekly podcast because more and more guests are jumping on board, and I actually can't believe we're there. 50 episodes in the bag. So to celebrate, on today's episode, I'm joined by Ricky Tomlinson. For me, this is a huge deal. I absolutely love him in the Royle Family. It's one of my most watched TV shows. Whenever I'm down in the dumps, it's that and Only Fools that always cheer me up. And it's just absolutely awesome that he's joined me. And I thought, what better way to celebrate the Big 50 than Jim Royle himself, Ricky Tomlinson. Before we get into today's episode, I do want to touch base on the last episode. So I was joined by the director Steve Nesbitt, and this was the second part of the 3-part special for the Gloves Off film, and it was awesome to be joined by him. The feedback again was fantastic, and it's really nice that people jump on board for the less known people in the industry and not just the big huge stars. And some of the emails I got and some of the people that are getting into film said they found it really, really interesting and lots of useful information that has helped them, and they've absolutely loved the interview, so thanks to everyone that's listened. So as I said at the start, today I'm joined by Ricky Tomlinson, and I'm absolutely thrilled he's on today's episode. So instead of kind of waiting around and talking, let's just get straight to it. So here it is, here's me and Ricky Tomlinson for Mark and Me podcast. Thank you for joining me today, Ricky. First of all, I want to know, at what age when you were growing up did you want to be an actor?
I never ever physically thought about it all as a child, because my working class obviously is very, very, my background's very, very working class.
Yeah.
So no, we never been thinking about being an actor, but I was always putting little shows on and stuff like that and playing, and the leader of the gang in the street with, marching up and down, playing music and banging the drums, but no, never sort of consciously ever thought about being an actor, no.
Was there a actor or a film or some director that you used to watch as a kid and think, I want to be on screen, or?
No, but I mean, I used to love Saturday afternoon, the matinees. We used to go, me and, say, one of my brothers, I've got 3 brothers, I'd go with probably the eldest brother, and we'd go to the local cinema, and then they was about 6p.
Wow.
And we got the majority of the films on the Saturday afternoon were cowboy films, which I wasn't very enamoured by. I didn't sort of really like cowboys and Indians, but I used to enjoy the escapism and stuff like that. But so yeah, I used to enjoy the cinema as such, and then later on as we got older, and our parents would take us as a bit of a treat. We started seeing, we started seeing other movies and that. And as I say, I always enjoyed it, but still never dreamt that one day I'd be on the screen. Never.
So you never went to any acting school or anything like that, did you? You just kind of you've just
nothing. No, I'm afraid not. And even so, we wouldn't have been able to afford it in them days. I mean, my mum and dad had 4 lads.
Yeah.
And my mum worked 2 or 3 jobs, and my dad was a baker. He worked 27 years on nights. So there was no discussion about anything like that. I mean, I used to go to like loads of boys' clubs and stuff like that, which was great, and played football for the school and other, but now acting classes wouldn't have. I mean, in them days, amongst the working class, it was unheard of. I mean, you're going back 70 odd years, aren't you? I'm 80 next year, so no chance.
So where did it come about then? How did it fall that you became into acting?
Well, it came about after I came out of prison.
Yeah.
Because as you know, and people laugh at this. People laugh at what I'm going to tell you. I tell everybody, when I go down and I talk and I speak to people, and I tell them I was a police they say, well, we don't have political prisoners in this country. And I say, well, I have this piece of paper which I carry with me everywhere from Amnesty International, saying that Amnesty International had adopted us as prisoners of conscience. And what happened is Desi Warren got the 3 years, I got 2 years. The day I left prison was the day that we were granted prisoners of conscience status. So really, I mean, Desi, God love Desi, poor old Desi, the way they treated him in jail actually, in my opinion, caused his death. And he never worked again when he came out. He never worked after he came out of prison. And also, a lot of people, I don't know if you've read my autobiography, but it's all in the autobiography, is that Desi Warren, I had never met him. I had never met him before the building workers went on strike. And it's the one and only ever official building strike, by the way.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any of them lads in the dock with me, any of the other 5, until the building strike came about. And yet the government chose to do us for conspiracy, which is it's a bit farcical. And it's 40-odd years now since we were sentenced, and they still won't release the papers. And we've had people applying for saying, look, why don't you release the papers? And they say, no, it's in the interest of national security not to release the papers under the Freedom of Information Act. So it's a bit of a farce, you know. I mean, we go on about being, you know, the mother of democracy and all like that. Democracy really doesn't exist in this country today.
So what was the biggest learning thing from being in prison for a couple of years? What was the thing that you came out that changed your life?
Well, it changed my life completely against the ruling class. Completely against the ruling class, is that they can do what they want, when they want, with whom they want.
Yeah.
And my telephone was tapped in the 1970s. And you know, people don't understand. They say to me, well, you got out, and what they don't realise is I didn't want to come out of jail. I was thrown out. They had a meeting with me, 2 building workers and an MP called Tom Littrick. He was from Birmingham somewhere, and they forced me out of jail. They said, you've got to go home. I said, I'm not going. I'm going to do my full time. I want nothing off this government. He said, no, you've got to go home. Because what they were doing, they were frightened of Desi, my mate, dying in prison. And he had an extra year. He had a year longer than me to do. And they said to me, if you do your full 2 years, you know Desi will do his full 3, and he's not well enough. So I had to leave under a cloud. I didn't want to come out.
No.
I didn't want to come out. I knew it was an embarrassment to the bloody government. It was outrageous what they'd done. And let me tell you something about Kenneth Clark. I know he's pissed most of the time. and he can put that in, lad. I couldn't give him monkeys.
Yeah.
I wrote to him and to say about releasing the papers. Now, anything I'm telling you, I've got backup here, say about all the papers.
Yeah.
Kenneth Clark said the government isn't going to review, not release, they're not going to review the papers concerning Dewsbury until the year 2021. Now, why? That's nearly 50 years. What's going on?
That is very weird.
It's very weird, yeah.
To get on more of a positive side, even though that was a real bad time, when you did come out, then you started to land roles in stuff like Brookside and Cracker. Some of the most classic TV to look back. I still watch Cracker now, and I think it's so well written. It's absolutely magic.
Jimmy McGovern lives just round the corner from me.
Wow.
But you know, it was funny because when I went to the audition for Brookside, see, I'd read somewhere in the paper they were looking for someone to play a part in a film, but must have trade union experience. Well, obviously, I was in the trade union. And I went down to London, drove down in an old van with a mate of mine, because I was living in North Wales. And I drove down in a van with a mate of mine, a lad called Tony Gates. And Tony was a bricklayer, and he said, well, I'll go with you, and I'll go to try and get a job on the Barbican, and you go and do this audition. And we went in this old van, and I just pulled out. I'd never driven to London before. And I just seen this bloody sign at the side of the road, London, and we parked the van behind there. And I had to walk, I didn't know, I was going to a place called Upper Ground, which was LWT's offices. And I walked, I had no money for anything like. So I had to walk, and by the time I got there, the holes in my feet, and my feet were bleeding, you know. And I met this fella called Roland Joffe, I didn't know, because when I filled the form and to apply for the audition, I put a phony name on.
Yeah.
And he was winding me up. I didn't know he was winding me up, like, and he was saying, like, we've got the best police force in the world. I said, no, we haven't. And he said, this. And I said, no, and I was arguing. So in the end, I said to him, stick your job up your arse. That you stick it up your arse. And I walked out, got in the lift, and I'm going down in the lift from his offices, and he's shouting after me, I know who you are, and I'm shouting, fuck off. But I know who you are, you're Ricky Tomlinson. And then when I got down and my mate was waiting for me, he said, did you get the expenses? Because we had no money for petrol, not to Christ. Back in the lift, back up, go in and say, yeah. And you've got to front it then, haven't you? I just said to him, what about these expenses? And he said to the girl, whoever it was then a girl called Nicky Finch? I think her name was Nicky Finch's office. He said, I'll give him £25, so that was it, so we were able to get home. And then later on, to cut the story short, we done what they call a workshop. He said to me, if I do this movie and I give you a couple of lines in it, you won't let me down, will you? And I went, oh, I won't let you down. Anyway, it turned out it was the lead. It was the lead, and people in the movie were like Rosemary Martin, Anthony Benson, Bill Patterson,
wow.
Peter Kerrigan, and here's me not knowing what the score was. And anyway, when the movie came out, it was 2.5 hours long. It was called United Kingdom. It was Play for the Day on the BBC, and I got absolute rave reviews. But two amazing things happened while it was being shown. One, Brookside was just getting set up, and Phil Redmond had got a group of writers together, and one of them was a lad called Andy Lynch, and he's going through what they're going to write for Brookside, and he's watching the play United Kingdom, and he just picked the phone up, and he phoned Phil Redmond, and he said, I've just found Bobby Grant. So from watching my performance on United Kingdom, I didn't know then, obviously, but I did later on that I'd already been picked to play Bobby Grant. But I met David Putnam years ago, some airport somewhere, I just forget where it was now. And I spoke to him for a few minutes, and he said, he said, you done me a big favour. I said, I done you a favour, never met him, He said, yeah. He said, I was doing I had a movie to do called The Killing Fields. He said, and he said I couldn't find a director to do it. He said, because like Lochi was working, Mike Lee was working, all the big name directors were working. He said, and I was in my office. He said, and it got to about 8 o'clock at night. He said, book it. I've had enough. He said, I'm going to go in and a cup of tea and watch the telly. And he switched the telly on, and he thought he was watching a fly-on-the-wall documentary. And it's a scene from United Kingdom where I'm smacking the little lad on the head. The lad's crying, I'm crying. Val McLean, who played my wife, she's crying. And he thought it was a documentary. And when it came up, and he found out it was a film, on the strength of that, he phoned Roland Joffe and gave him the director's job for The Killing Fields. So it's amazing what happens, from a little bit of telly. Like I've got a job which lasted 5 years. Roland went on to do The Killing Fields, which was absolutely amazing. And it's strange what happens, isn't it?
It's all meant to be, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if this is true, and obviously you can now confirm it, but when you were filming Mike Bassett, did you actually have to turn down the part in Minority Report?
I don't know what the movie was. I had to... No, I don't think we were offered a job in Minority Report. I don't know, because Rita looks after all that. All I know is if I'm working, then I have to concentrate, because I'm not trained, obviously, and I have to work hard to learn my lines and do all that, but I don't know whether that was that. But I know one of the famous... That's the first time I met Bradley when I done Mike Bassett, Bradley Walsh.
Yeah.
And he was amazing. He was wonderful. We had a great time. There was me. We were like the Three Musketeers. There was Bradley Walsh, me, and another actor, a great actor called Phil Jackson. You may see Phil's always in the Poirot movies, in the films with Poirot, with David Suchet. And we had a great time together. That's where I actually went to try and get Ronnie Biggs to be in the movie. And we went up I said to Phil Jackson, because they were looking for someone to play the barman. They wanted someone. It's the scene where I dance along the bar, but I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And the game and that. And he said we could do with someone to play. I said, well, I'll go and get Ronnie Biggs, because we were in Brazil. And he went, do you think you can? I said, yeah. So anyway, Phil Jackson came with me. We had our own show for like the lad who spoke the local language, Portuguese, I think. And I said, look, I want to go to this pub, this tavern up in the hills where Ronnie Biggs is. And he said, anyway, he took us, and I went in and I said, excuse me, I'm looking for Ronnie Biggs. And the place went quiet. They went, no, it's not in, not there. Anyway, they more or less shooed us out. And I said to Phil Jackson, I said, I'm going back tomorrow. I said, I know he's there. So I wrote a letter to say, look, hiya, Ronnie, this is, we're doing a movie, we're looking for someone speak English to play the part of a barman, that's all. There's no straight, nothing like, it was nothing going toward. And I went back up the next day with Phil in the car. The fellow waited outside. And I walked in, and the atmosphere was quite different. But this lady, as soon as I walked in, this lady dressed from head to toe in white come to me. And she said, I believe you're looking for Ronnie Biggs. I said, I am. I said, but look, there's nothing going toward. I said, it's a little job for him. And she said, I said, I've got this letter for him, and I give her the letter. And she said, I'll make sure he gets it. And I went to give her a little tip to get a drink. She went, no, I don't want nothing. She said, but I promise you, she said, he'll get the letter. Unknowns to me, apparently he was next door, and he was being escorted by reporters from the Sun newspaper back to England.
Wow.
And when it come on the television, there he is, walking off the plane with a T-shirt on with the Sun on the thing. So, I missed him by a couple of minutes. He might have been a film star instead of going to jail for another 8 years.
That's crazy.
But it's the truth, you see.
I would be a criminal not to sit here now and talk about the Royle Family now. I'm 36 years old, and that and Only Fools are my go-to TV. If I ever feel down in the dumps, I literally switch it on, and I always feel safe. I feel at home.
It's love. I know fellas. There's fellas I went to school with, and when I see them knocking round, because, obviously I still live in Liverpool and that, and they shout, all right, Jim. Hey, all right, Jim. He thinks, oh, sorry, Rick, bloody hell, Rick, this guy. And like some of them will just say, do us a favour. Do you know what I get a lot of now, lad? And people say, don't you get fed up with it? And I say, no, I bloody don't. People say, do us a favour, my mum's not well. Can you just say, and I'll say, what's her name? Rosie, okay. And they put the phone up and I just say, all right, Rosie, it's Jim here. Now, you believe you're down in the dumps. Don't you be down in the dumps. Come on, Rosie. Now, I'll be asking after you, so come on, pull your socks up, get yourself better, and God bless. All the time. I do that all the time. And people say, doesn't it get on your nerves? I say, get out of it.
Yeah.
But why? Why would it get on my nerves, lad? It only takes a minute of your time. People stop you. All the time you do. But I don't know whether you're into country music at all, are you?
I like some of it, and I know that you played all the banjo on the actual.
I do play, yeah. But there's an Irish lad. Well, he's a Scouser. He was born in Liverpool, and he went to live in Ireland, and he's selling millions of records now. His name is Nathan Carter. If you Google him, lad, Jesus, he sells out everywhere. Nathan Carter. Anyway, I was going to Spain one day, going to Benidorm. I was on the plane, and there was a family, an Irish family, on the plane. And this little lad came up to me and he went, can I have your autograph, please? I said, look, can you wait till we land? I said, then we can have a photograph and an autograph and a photograph. I said, well, not while the plane's just landing like this. So that was it. So we landed, and the kid, they were miles ahead of me with their cases, and I run after this kid and I shouted, hey, kid, I haven't forgot. And he come back with our photograph and an autograph. And years later, I'm talking to Nathan Carter, who's now this mega country and western star, and he said, do you remember this day when you were going to Benidorm, we were going to Spain once, and you stopped and you run after this kid and shouted him back for a photograph? I said, yeah. He said, that was my brother.
Bloody hell.
Isn't that amazing, lad?
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that and Nathan now, you can't get a ticket for his shows. He sells arenas out.
That's
He's
insane.
a lovely, lovely lad. You know, I've met him since, obviously, and he's a lovely, lovely lad. And see, these names I mentioned you won't know, like Foster and Allen and Charlie Lansbury and Nathan. I love country music, you know. And now and again I go over to Ireland to see Charlie Lansbury when he plays.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll go on the stage and introduce Charlie to his second spot. Then afterwards I'll go for a drink, although I don't drink now, like I haven't drank for a while. I'll sit in their company and listen to all these stories that they've got, because they've all got amazing stories, absolutely. Charlie Lansbury is a wonder. Look these names up, lads, when we finish talking.
I'm writing them all down.
Charlie Lansbury. He looks like Merlin, the wizard.
Yeah.
There's, like, you know, the beard and his hair's past his shoulders, and he has wonderful stories, absolutely wonderful stories, and you can just sit and listen and enjoy a night out with them, you know, and well, you know, I've been very lucky.
Did you think when you were on set and you were filming this in a living room with such a simple concept that it would ever be as big as it was? Because still now it's on telly nearly every day, it's on Netflix, everyone loves it.
No, I mean, you don't know. And after the after the first episode went out, my mum used to live in a lovely flat that was built by Liverpool City Council. You know, the council done a lot in them days.
Yeah.
Liverpool City Council. But anyway, she had this beautiful flat. And I drove along and she opened the window. I had an old van and it was only just taken off. So I drove along and she opened the window and she said, "Where did you learn language like that? It's a good job your father's dead. He'd be ashamed of you." I said, "Mum, I'm a building worker. I've stood on the cop in Anfield for 20 years. That's where I learned that." Yeah. Anyway, she said, "It was terrible." Anyway, a couple of weeks later, she pulled me up and she said, "Rick," she said, "it's so funny." She said, "There must be something wrong with my sense of humour." She was made up. And of course, people would go to me mum's and say, "Do you think you can get a photograph of your Rick?" You know, me being Jim Royle. Yeah. So I used to take her a little packet of photographs and she'd have them, and people had knocked, the neighbours for the kids and their grandkids, and she'd give them it, you know. But yeah, she's a bit of a prude, my mum. She was wonderful.
It's the best one to impress, though. If your mum likes your work, you know you've done proud.
Oh, she was amazing. She was an amazing woman, honest to God, kid.
So your most recent film, Gloves Off, you got to work with Steve Nesbitt, the director. I've spoke to him recently, and I've also interviewed Brad Moore. Now, Brad Moore tells me that you're the funniest man alive.
Oh, God.
Every scene that you were doing when you were backstage, he had to kind of walk away to compose himself because he just couldn't stop laughing at your stories. And
you've got to, you see, but you know what was good about that movie? I haven't seen it yet, by the way. I haven't seen it yet. But that director, that Steve Nesbitt, he's a one-off.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's from that type of background. I'm not sure. I think he might be ex-military. I'm not sure. And he was wonderful. And he gives you license. You've got your lines. Obviously, you've got to use your tagline so people can come in with their lines. But you can extemporate and you can sort of ad-lib and do stuff like that. And I always find, even now, if people come here, if you can have a laugh with people, it just makes the day go a lot better. So we had a wonderful time. And but there's a young guy in it called Gary Cargill. Oh, he's a bit special, this kid. Yeah. Now he's a Liverpool lad, but he's RADA trained. You know, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. He's trained there, and he's what an actor this fella is. And then there's Paul Barber. Now Paul Barber, you know Paul Barber out of Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, one of the best characters around.
He plays Denzel. Now he's as old as Methuselah. He's as old as Methuselah. And what a laugh we used to have with him. And you know what? Here's the camaraderie that went on. While we were filming that, someone stole my car. Someone stole my car.
Fucking hell.
He would come and pick me up every morning, take me to work to Leeds, even if he wasn't working. Wait for me to finish and drive me home.
What a legend.
You know, I mean, if like the film people put you up in the hotel, but if I'm within striking distance, I like to go home. And Paul Barber done that every day till I got me policeman car, you know. But having said that, listen to this lad talk about fate. About, God, I don't know, it must be 20 years ago or something. I went on holiday, and I love to write. I love to write. I'm not the best writer in the world, but I like to write. And I wrote a thing called, with my name being Tomo, everyone shouts, all right, Tomo. I wrote a thing called Tomo, Dick and Harry. And it's about my character, Tomo, gets left the building yard, and he gets his two mates, and they start a little building firm in Liverpool. And there's some lovely characters in it, you know. And the BBC we're going to do is, I'm going back such a long, long time. And they actually said to me, do you know any writers? I said, I know loads of writers. They said, well, you pick 6. I'll pick 6. And we'll pick the 6 out of 12. And they'll be the follow-up episode. I said, okay. So I got Jimmy McGovern, Andy Lynch, Alan Swift, Neil Fitzmaurice, and I can't remember who did it, but I picked 6.
Yeah.
And they picked 6. And anyway, they picked 4 of my 6. Neil Fitzmaurice, Jimmy, Alan, and Andy Lynch. And that was it. And then all of a sudden, they just cancelled it.
Oh.
They just cancelled the whole lot. So I was telling Steve Nesbitt about it when we were doing Gloves Up. And he went, I'd like to read that, Rick. Anyway, I rooted round it, because it was years ago. Years of rooted. Anyway, we found a copy. And I sent him it, and he was made up with it. Anyway, we've recently shot a pilot of it, a 15-minute pilot, with me as Tomo, Gary Cargill as Dick, and Johnny Vegas as Harry.
Wow.
And do you know what, Johnny, there's a bit of serious stuff in it, obviously. Vegas, there's a little scene where he's got to be is absolutely wonderful. And we shot it in an old builder's yard. I fell in Liverpool, but the builder's yard said, yeah, use the yard. Use the yard as long as you want. We don't want nothing for it. Anyway, we shot this 15-minute pilot. We've got a local lad called Morris Cheetham who's doing the music. And we've shown the pilot, and do you know what, lad? I think it's going to be great. And I've had a phone call in the last few days. And he won't tell me the name of the company, that there's a company who are very, very interested in taking it on. And I would be delighted with that, because it would be made in Liverpool with Liverpool actors, Liverpool crew, well, northern crew, northern actors and stuff like that. And because, I don't know whether you know this or not, I'm a freeman of the city of Liverpool. I'm a freeman of the city of Liverpool, and I love Liverpool. And whenever I go anywhere, and whenever I'm speaking to them, I say, look, from time to time, I might let myself down. I would never let Liverpool down. And it's funny enough, because Phil Redmond, who wrote Brookside, he's just had his Freeman of the City award. And I was there at the ceremony with a couple of the writers we've just been talking about. And I said, isn't this amazing? Like, it's 40 years, isn't it, since Brookside?
Yeah, it's crazy. 40
years, and there we are together, Phil's getting his Freeman of the City. And I said, well, at least I beat you to something, Phil. I beat you to something. No, listen, lad, I have a wonderful life. I've got wonderful grandchildren. I've got a new great-grandson who's great. The lad who lives around the corner, he's 13, Louis. He's got his own band called the Babyface Beatles. They've played everywhere. They've even played on the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall.
Wow.
He's in the Philharmonic Choir. He's a wonderful guitarist, and for Christmas I'm buying him. He wants a bass guitar to learn the bass. Last year we bought him a piano. He plays the piano, and I get such a kick out of my grandkids. It's amazing. We have the 2 little ones from over the water. We have them probably at least once a fortnight, and they have a sleepover. And I ruined them completely. So all the good work the parents do is totally ruined at the time they go home. It's when they say, can I have? I say yes.
Everything you
can
want.
I have?
Yeah.
Yes. And Rita said to me, you shouldn't do that. You're ruining them. And I said, listen, when I was a kid, we struggled. There was 4 of us in one bed.
Yeah.
It was only a 2-bedroom house. And the rooms are about, 10 foot square, 12 foot square. So you couldn't get 2 beds in. So there'd be a big double bed, and me and my 3 brothers in that bed. So, you know, I do. I ruin my grandkids. I ruin my grandkids, and I think it's a grandparent's duty to ruin their grandkids, you know, because you spend more time with them than you did with your own.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I used to do 2 jobs. I'd be working to plaster sort of 8 till 5 or whatever. Then I'd drive into Liverpool, because I was living in North Wales in a little village. I'd drive into Liverpool and I'd do the social clubs, entertaining them, you know. 8 till 11 o'clock, so it'd be midnight or more, 10, gone midnight, but by the time you get home. So you'd hardly seen your own kids, and so you make it up, obviously, through your grandkids, and I wouldn't want it any other way, kid.
Looking back, like, what advice would you give to people to have a better life? Because you sound like you're really enjoying life. The fact that you take this time to meet people. I got told once you never turned down an autograph, you never turned down a photo. That's rare.
Listen to this. I'm so glad you've asked me this, and I want you to put this in this article.
It'll all be in.
I pride myself on never, ever, ever turning anyone down for an autograph or a photograph. I pride myself on it. But I did once, and you know, it's haunted me, kid. It's haunted me, and I wish I could get hold of the lady to say, I am so sorry. And what it was, I was in the Lake District. I'm going back years. I was in the Lake District, and I was having a cup of tea, outside the cafe or whatever it was, and a lady come up to me for an autograph. But I was reading the paper, and I was reading about the case. It still haunts me now, about this little girl. What was her name? They made a law about this little girl had been kidnapped, and they found her in a field of wheat, and they had to get the parents to identify her, because obviously she'd been there a few days, and so you know, foxes and that must have got after Kitty. What was the name of the little girl? Bloody hell. It haunted me, and I was reading this, and I was so upset. And this woman said to me, do you mind, can I have an autograph? And I said, no, you can't. And she walked away, and 10 seconds later, I could have bit my tongue off.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that little girl's name? They brought a law out about her. I can still see the parents now. I can still see the mother. And this little girl was missing. Everyone was looking for her for days. And she was obviously dead and that. That's the only time, and it's haunted me, you know. I wish I could find that woman from the Lake District and just say, look, I'm so sorry. I was reading it, and because it got to me, you know.
Yeah.
This little kid, like, she'd been in the field for 2 or 3 days in a field of wheat. Yeah. And they brought back. I'm sure they brought a law out named after her. Someone had bloody kidnapped her and took her, and that, you know. And the parents were devastated. And anyway, I've never forgiven myself for this anyway. But there you go. I just wish I could turn the clock back, but I can't.
But the circumstances were understandable, and the fact that that's only a one-off. I've met so many people that say, nope, no photos, no autographs, just walk straight past.
That's a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
That's crap. What's wrong with them? While they're getting there on the way up, they can't wait for people to come and ask them for photographs and autographs.
Yeah.
And once they're there, they think that they're immune. Oh, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. Now and again, I go out with a fella. In fact, we're doing a documentary about him now, actually. It's nearly finished. His name's Gary Skyner, and he was one of the first thalidomide people born in the country, you know.
Right.
And he's just got like 2 little hands coming out of his shoulders. And now and again I go out with him, and then and he's a wonderful comedian. He's very funny. And people say to me, "Can I have an autograph and like a photograph?" And I say, "Yeah." So what I do now, this might sound crazy, but you know, I'm telling you the truth. I put my Jim Royle vest under me shirt when I go out.
Yeah.
And I take my shirts off and I put my Jim Royle glasses on. So I've got me, and I say, and anyone want a photograph? They queue up, lad, from here to the bloody Golden Mile in Blackpool to have a photograph with Jim Royle. And the lads say, come on, Ricky. And I say, hang on. It only takes a few more minutes. It probably takes you an hour to get out of whatever the venue is.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth it. And then people are made up.
Yeah.
And some of them, I'd say someone want a photograph. Then, can you speak to me, ma'am? She's in the hospital. Can you speak to my daughter before she goes to bed? You do it. You've got to do it all, haven't you?
It means a lot, mate. On the receiving end of someone that's met some of their heroes that have said no, or they haven't got time, or they don't even look at you, to know that you do that for them, honestly, it's worth more than anything to those people.
Well, listen to this, lad. Robert De Niro was speaking in Leeds shortly, and he may have already just done it, I don't know. The tickets are something like £300 to £800 to go and see him, you know?
Yeah.
And it's somewhere in Leeds. I think it might be the town hall. I actually went up to Robert De Niro in the Groucho Club at Roland Joffe's 50th birthday. And He had a little goatee beard and a ponytail, and I didn't have a clue who he was. And he seemed to be on his own. And I'd been invited to Roland's 40th birthday party because he was leaving England and going to work in the States, which he did. He went to do at the Scarlet Letter and some. Anyway, he's still in the States. And I went up to them at the near and I said, "Are you okay?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you in show business?"
Wow.
Are you in show business to Robert
To Robert De Niro.
Thank God. Jeremy Irons and I think it was Liam Neeson walked in between me as I said it. So he didn't hear me. He didn't hear the question. And then Roland, whose birthday party it was, come across to me and he went, "Rick, I want you to meet him." And then that's when he introduced me. He said, "Rick, this is Robert De Niro." Oh, bloody hell.
I bet he loved that, though. I bet he was like, wow.
Well, I mean, I wanted to try and get up to Leeds to see him, and I don't know whether I can or not, or whether he's actually done the evening with, but he was certainly very nice when I met him. He was absolutely lovely, you know. But yeah, listen, lad, I've had ups and downs, and I've been the luckiest guy in the world, and you know, and I love Roland Joffrey, but he took a chance on me. That man took a chance on me. It changed my life.
Yeah.
It changed my life, and not only did it change my life, it changed my children's lives and my grandchildren's lives, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and I love every day. I love every day, and not everyone can say that.
No.
I love every day, and you know, and there's always something to do. There's always somewhere to go, and well, you know, it doesn't get much better than that, kid.
Mate, it's amazing to hear that. I think sometimes there's karma or there's good stuff out there because you are one of the nicest guys I've ever spoken to. The amount you do for people, I've read how much you do for charity, and you're nearly 80 and you sound like you're still a kid.
God bless you, lads. Good luck to you, son.
Thanks for your time, sir, and I'll speak to you soon.
God bless. Ta-da, lad.
Take care, mate.
Ta-da.
So there it is. There's me and Ricky Tomlinson. What a great guy. Really, really friendly, really upbeat, just a really lovely guy. And the thing is, when you get these interviews, sometimes when a big name, someone that you've watched on TV for years comes along, you're a little bit scared because you don't want to do the interview in case they're not kind of what you thought or you'd hoped. And they say never meet your heroes, but with Ricky Tomlinson, he was more than I could have asked for. He was just great, and I'm so grateful he's been on today to celebrate episode 50. As I've said on the last couple of episodes, this is all to celebrate the release of the film Gloves Off, and I want you all to kind of go back and listen to the previous 2 episodes, because I was joined by Brad Moore, who's the main actor in this film, and then Steve Nesbitt, the director, so it's a nice little trilogy special for you all. It is now the end of the year, and I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, and basically a Happy New Year, and thank you for supporting me in 2018. It's been a crazy year with 25 episodes released, so it's been quite full on. And it's just been a really good roller coaster of a ride. I've got to meet people like Mads Mikkelsen. I've had some really, really good highs and not many lows, so I'm not going to complain. It's been a good year. And I'm hoping that 2019 is going to be more of the same, lots more interviews, and I am going to be launching something brand new. But I'm not going to say at this point what it is, but it is going to be something completely different and completely new for you all. I've already been doing a lot of interviews over the last few weeks, getting them in the bag, and I've got enough material now till the end of April, so it's been full on most nights, and even on my lunch break at work the other day I was sat with my laptop and a phone recording a brand new interview because they could only do 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but you know, I'm not going to turn down any interviews that I can get for you guys. In the meantime, if you can keep going on markandme.com, there's links to my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Patreon. My Patreon is building up momentum now. I'm getting quite a few people supporting me. You can go on there and offer just as little as sort of 60p a month. That might not seem a lot, but it makes a huge difference. It gives me a chance to travel the country, get more and more guests, and, you know, this is just me. It's literally me in a bedroom recording and going out there and doing it all myself. So any support goes a long, long way. Again, thanks again for supporting me this year. I really hope you've enjoyed episode 50, and here's to the next 50.